We are discussing today's top news stories now with Nick Ferrari and Vanessa, who is finally back in the studio with us.
I know, it's been months, 5 months or something. It's lovely to see you both in the flesh. You look gorgeous.
It doesn't feel that long because we have seen you and talked to you, but
I've always been in the back bedroom, having just had a major row with Ben over how to work the technology every single time. So what bliss to be here and have professionals actually doing it. Marvellous.
Talking of professionals, let's go to Nick. Nick, BBC PROMS, last night at the PROMS, they've confirmed last night that only orchestral versions of Land of Hope and Glory and Rule Britannia will be performed at this year's Last Night at the PROMS. No lyrics. What do you make of this?
I think this is a shameful decision, actually, and this comes as the Director-General of the BBC is at a television festival in Scotland talking about how the BBC is well-equipped to move forward the message about Britain, and yet it seems to be almost embarrassed about British past. No nation has ever moved forward if it's tinkered with its history. There is no problem, there are no problems with these lyrics. It shows that, sadly, the BBC now appeals very much to a sort of metropolitan elite that ranges from Ealing to Islington and is totally out of touch with most of your viewers now who want to see the PROMS end, as they have done on TV for the thick end of 90 years with those rousing choruses. And you find me people who think that this is a step forward.
Vanessa?
Well, actually, I've just been talking about it on my radio show all morning, and I've had loads of callers saying, you know, to sing Britons never, never, never will be slaves when Britons were responsible for slavery and making a lot of money out of it, and also, of course, for the Reformation and the abolition of slavery, all true. But to sing never, never will be slaves when their families were enslaved, when they've had the most awful family history because of slavery, that it sounds smug and it sounds insensitive and it sounds as if you're glorying in a way in other people's suffering and other people's family legacy of suffering.
People actually singing it really think about that?
I think that the BBC has tried to do its best to negotiate and navigate something very difficult to cause the least possible offence. And I don't know if it's ever fair to berate any organisation or even an individual for trying not to cause offence. They're not trying to upset Nick Ferrari.
Do you know what the interesting thing is, Nick and Vanessa? Whatever the rights and wrongs of all of this is, it's an orchestral-only arrangement with an audience that is used to singing. Now, you tell me that people aren't going to join in and fill in the gaps.
Well, this year, of course, they won't actually be there in person. They'll be in their own front. No, there won't be a visible... Don't know, but they're virtual pretty much, so the audience won't be there.
It's a reduced orchestra.
I mean, I think they'll be doing as my parents used to do, you know, Jewish family in a suburban northwest London, singing along to Land of Hope and Glory and Rule Britannia. I'm sure people will be singing along at home, but I think this was an attempt, at least, you know, not to cause offence. And is that ever a bad thing?
No, I simply can't agree. This is something that has been done, as I say, for 90 years. It was the British Royal Navy, with the loss of 1,400 personnel, who brought about an end to slavery. And as for Land of Hope and Glory going, which is the other one, or Land of Woke and Glory, as the BBC would have it, that is absolutely unconscionably wrong. If you do away with your past, if you do away with a tradition, you just become ersatz, you just become spare. There is no argument in favour of it whatsoever. And as I'm afraid, the BBC out of touch with the main rump, the bulk of this country. That is not what people would wish for Last Night of the PROMS. At least 2 newspaper polls back that view up.
So what I'm picking up from you, Nick, is that the BBC are happy to take your money. They're very, very happy to take your money, but they will tell you what to do. They're not broadcasting for you. They're telling you, they're imposing their values. It's almost like they're politicising, or they themselves are campaigning on a number of issues, this being one.
I think there is a danger that the BBC, and I'm aware of what Vanessa says, and we've discussed this on my radio show, has in a way gone down a silo in that it's sort of quasi-campaigning and it almost believes that it's part of trying to be part of social engineering. It isn't. It is there to inform and to entertain. And it has done in this particular instance for more than 90 years with the music. And that should be the default position. And you find people who think that's wrong, they will be very, very scarce. And this is where the BBC, I would argue, has lost its direction and manifestly lost it. It's out of touch with the public.
Except you left one of those Reithian principles out, which was to inform educate and entertain, and you could be... And Vanessa's
And
point
one
is,
of the lyrics, of course, of Land of Hope and Glory, wider still and wider shall thy bounds be set. So God who made thee mighty, make thee mighty. Yet, in other words, expand your empire. So your boundaries are wider and wider. You take over more and more other countries. That's what the lyrics are. You can't change them because you've sung them for 90 years and thoroughly enjoyed it. And I've certainly waved a flag myself. And I love that song. I adore it. But if it's deeply hurtful, should it be maybe just replaced by an orchestral accompaniment to the tune?
Presumably, Vanessa, you've got problems with the national anthem, then.
Do you know the second verse? Nobody knows the second verse of the national anthem,
Well, so you've got problems with that?
Possibly.
No.
guys, would you have problem... Nick, I know on your show a lot, and Vanessa, indeed, on yours, a lot of this is about police and attacks on police, safeguarding police, police safeguarding us. The Home Secretary, Nick, now saying that she could give the thumbs up to a more powerful taser. Any objections?
And this taser, we read, would have the power possibly to cause considerably greater injuries and break bones. My answer is, let's throw it back to the police officers. If the police officers themselves feel they need this, I'm reminded of a case, a very well-known case in London, and it has been through the court, so we can talk about it, where a police officer was attacked by a man using a machete. And sometimes the current taser, the darts aren't powerful enough to penetrate an anorak or a sweater or whatever it might be, so you do not stop the assailant. If police officers who are faced with that sort of unfortunate challenge up and down the country, not just in London, if they think they need more powerful tasers, then that's a pretty compelling argument for me.
Yeah, they deployed, Vanessa. Police deployed 23,000 tasers last year. That's double the number of 2 years ago.
I would absolutely draw the line at a more powerful taser. I thought the whole point of a taser is supposed to be, and we know there have been very serious injuries caused by tasers. In fact, some people have been blinded by them. You know, they can be really dangerous.
You obviously do not watch the Channel 5 programmes I do.
Definitely not. I'm trying to live a little and have a life and romantic life and social life. No, I do not.
The assaults on police officers, I tell you, I wouldn't, if I was a police officer, I wouldn't go out unless I was armed with a bazooka, to be quite honest.
Then you can't sing Rule Britannia, because one of the things we're proudest of is the fact that our police aren't armed with guns. And I don't think tasers that are kind of almost guns masquerading as, because they're so incredibly damaging, are a good idea. Maybe for certain crack squads in particular cases.
I think we have no clue what police officers face on the front line. They see the worst of society day in, day out. And so, Nick, you simply say, ask them. If they need it, give it to them.
Totally support what you say. These are men and women who are brave enough to put on the uniforms, or in some cases, of course, they go undercover. They put their lives on the line if they feel safer. And it's not like we have scores of cases of these tasers being deployed illegally. They're a very responsible bunch. If they feel they need them, we should absolutely listen to them and afford them all the protection we can.
And then we'll next be sitting here talking about the terrible damage, the injuries, the deaths, and people in hospital as a result of these exceptionally damaging tasers.
That if the police are more armed, more powerful tasers, then the criminals will be more powerfully armed.
Exactly. It just ramps everything up, doesn't it?
But Ruth, they are anyway. The police officers are, as Eamonn said, I mean, I don't blame him for carrying a bazooka. I'm with him on. They are facing far more aggression and far more attacks at a hideous rate. Anything that can be done to try and protect those men and women, I'm absolutely going to sign up to that. I'm surprised anyone wouldn't.
KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, are not signing up to finger licking. Vanessa, are you a finger licker?
Well, I was, but now my fingers taste of hand sanitizer or soap. So, you know, chicken beautifully fried with a nice whiff of hand sanitizer, not so delicious anymore.
It's the right time to get rid of that.
Yes, I think so.
Now, you two will remember when Marks and Spencer used to have their own clothing label.
St Michael's.
St Michael's. So, Ruth, the point about this story is what?
Well, the point about this story is that they got rid of St Michael's, the brand name St Michael's. They said it was slightly old-fashioned, had Marks and Spencer. But now young people are going, how vintage, how quaint. If you've got something with the Marks, Saint Mark's, then it's now worth money.
I tell you, I bet you Nick's underpants still have St Michael on them.
Yeah, so you must remember it, Vanessa.
Now I'm thinking about Nick's underpants. That's not what I came here for, honestly, really.
We bring Jeremy Paxman into this, of course, because it was Mr. Paxman who famously complained about the quality of his underpants, and particularly if it's called the gusset area, and he complained to the boss of Marks and Spencer's. And if you track it back, here's a very, very key point for this. Vanessa, I think, will probably agree with me. If you look at any of that St. Michael branded stuff, Eamonn, Ruth, Vanessa, most of it was made in the United Kingdom, and it has lasted. A lot of those fashions now, the bras, the pants, the socks, it's made all around the world, and it doesn't last as long. I want to bring back those black pencils, Eamonn. Do you remember that had elastic over the toes as well?
So
That's what I want.
There are currently more than 14,000 St Michael garments for sale on eBay, and so many people have been sending us their pictures. Denise says, these are my mum's gloves from the late 60s.
There you go.
Is it there? There you go.
Look at that.
Which I still wear. They looking good.
They look
like,
but it's just proof. Everyone said that the goods lasted and they were real quality, and that's why we aspire to them. And also, they were never cheap. You know, you had to save up for them. And once you got them, you cherished them.
I haven't got pants, but I've got shorts. Karen says, I still wear 3 pairs of shorts that I bought 35 years ago from St Michael's. I'm 65 now. They look good. Oh, look at this. Claire says, this is a St Michael dress that I wore when I was 2 years old, and now my daughters wear it too.
It's lovely.
Cute. Oh, hello, that's snazzy. Julie says, I've still got this waistcoat that's over 30 years old. It's too good to part with, but I haven't worn it for years. And this is Maureen. This is a skirt my mum had for my son's wedding 26 years ago, and I still wear it. Have you got anything in your wardrobe with a St Michael's label?
Probably, and I really think that the struggling clothing department at Marks and Spencer now, they need to tune into this, don't they? Because that's what we wanted, these
Vintage
staples,
label.
classics, cashmere jumpers or pretend cashmere that never, ever wore out.
The Irish equivalent, Dunn's stores.
Love Dunn's.
They have their own brand, which is St Bernard. They have a Saint as well. Or they used to. I don't know if they've done away with that or not. Nick, Vanessa, thank you both very much indeed.